Not many choices in audio are as personal and as important as your phono cartridge choice. As an audiophile with heavy emphasis on vinyl, I'm in love with cartridges, the technology behind them, the artistry behind their design, and the sheer impact they have on my daily listening. But first, welcome back, and if you are new to the channel, thanks for checking us out. Please like and subscribe. Both of these really help the channel to grow in 2023. We are hoping for even bigger and better in 2024. What this video is about and what it's not. This is not a generic top 5 or top 10 or best cartridges for $200 and the like. I respect cartridges and the huge musical impact they make to produce one of those videos. This is a video about what we at Audiophilia have used past and present and what's worked for us. And this includes outstanding examples in all budgets. So please use as a guide for further research into your choices. And if you are on the hunt, I hope this video will point you in the right direction. There are numerous fine articles on the net and videos on YouTube about the many types of cartridges and about setup. In fact, Audiophilia's most read article is from almost 30 years ago, The Beginner's Guide to Cartridge Setup. It's been read hundreds of thousands of times, and it's so good, many people have stolen it for their own websites. I'll link it below and link to other important cartridge info posts and videos. Also, other than the cables, cartridges engender passions for all the different types. Many audiophiles who are into streaming or still have large CD collections may only need an entry-level card. Good enough, and that's cool. But if you want to up your game and really challenge yourself as an audiophile with vinyl, the cartridge you choose will be vitally important. Of course, the room treatment, equipment synergy, and the best quality components you can afford are all very important. But a cartridge seems to stamp their own personality on your listening environment and your personal preferences. The elephant in the room, always, price. And it seems more than any other high-end audio gear, you get what you pay for in phono cartridges. Hey, you've got to pay to play. Now, don't turn off. There is good news for vinyl ingenues or those without a big budget. Hey, if you have a big budget, stick around. I have some doozies for you. But many audiophiles, especially those getting into the avocation, budget is uppermost in their mind. It certainly was for me when I began this nutty hobby 40 years ago. So there'll be something for everyone and every taste. There are thousands of phono cartridges. I've heard many, reviewed, and owned lots, but I may not suggest your favorite. If I miss a gem, please post it in the comments below. The channel's subscribers will love that. Adding a price would be helpful too. So we're very lucky at Audiophilia to get lots of cartridges in for review, and a few we've had for long-term loan, and a few we've purchased. And what we do at Audiophilia is we keep them for a while and use them as our reference, but then we like to share stuff around. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is all the different cartridges we have. I've heard many of them. Some of them have been purchased, some on long-term loan, some we've had in for review, and I've had earlier on in my career, so we'll talk about those. We've got about 15 or 16 cartridges. I've already mentioned the Waterphone Red, which was a very good cartridge for $99. So if you're in the market to get a cartridge and you're just starting, it's a moving magnet, easy to drive, tracks very well, good sound. That's one to start with. This is the next one up. This is the Waterphone Blue. I think that's going to focus okay. It's a wonderful little nugget, blue nugget. It's a moving magnet, 5.5 millivolts, has an aluminum cantilever, elliptical stylus, tracks about 1.8 grams, and retails for about $189. You can get these on sale. This is probably 4 or 5 times better cartridge than the Red. If you can push to $200, I can highly recommend this cartridge as an entry-level cartridge. Very lovely sound, very dynamic, for $189. And this is the box it comes in. This $306 is Canadian. And this was purchased by Ian Kershaw, who writes for Audiophilia. And we use that as a basic reference if we're doing cartridge reviews. Next up, I've got some photographs of some really fine cartridges I've had in the past. About 25 years ago, I purchased my first kind of high-end moving coil cartridge. This was the Benz Micro Glider low output, 0.4 millivolts, had a boron cantilever and a Geiger stylus, and it tracked about 1.6 to 1.9 grams and cost $1,200. It had kind of had a long cantilever. I think they called it a nude cartridge, but it was outstanding for the price. Now they're $1,200. When I purchased mine, it was $799 Canadian, which is about 600 US. And you're going to find that with most of the cartridges here. A lot of them, considering when we purchased them 10, 15, 20, 25 years ago, they've almost doubled in price. The next one was a significant increase in price, and I got an accommodation price for it, so I paid half price for it. The price for these now, the Clear Audio Concerto V2.1, it's a moving coil, 0.7 millivolts, boron cantilever, it has a micro HD stylus profile, tracked about 2.8 grams, and now it retails for $3,300. It didn't cost that much then. I think it was about $2,000, but I got a 50% accommodation price, so about $1,000. So I was in heaven, and I listened to that for like 5, 6, 7, 8 years. Unfortunately, the wood body cracked eventually, and I had to move up to another cartridge. But in the meantime, Clear Audio was very nice to give us a loan, and we had it for a long-term loan for about a year. The Clear Audio Titanium moving coil cartridge. This was a huge increase in price and performance. This now retails for $11,000, remember, US dollars. It was a 0.8 millivolt boron cantilever micro HD stylus profile. Tracked about 2.8 grams. I had this for about a year, and finally the distributor said, Anthony, we're going to need that back. And my wife said she never saw my face so sad as when that cartridge had to go back. So when they say there are differences in cartridges and prices, and you kind of get what you paid for, they are not kidding. Now, this was an extremely expensive cartridge. I think then it was about 7,000 US. Now it's 11,000 US. But it's one of the world's best cartridges. It was absolutely outstanding. The subtleties and the layering and the accurate timbre, just as you go up in price, you get more of everything. Of course, as you go up higher in price, it gets less and less, but still, a lot of audiophiles want to get that last ounce of realism. And that titanium cartridge was outstanding. The next one that I purchased was the Rega Afida. This was the version 1. I think it was Rega's first moving coil cartridge. 0.5 millivolt aluminum cantilever, hyper-elliptical stylus profile, tracked about 1.75 and ran about $16.95. Again, I got this at an accommodation price, so it was about half price for me. But it was good. The Afida 2 and the Afida 3 are significantly better. The Rega Afida 1 was very nice. It had a lovely sound, but a little bit tizzy on top. So if you ever get a Rega Afida 1 on sale or secondhand, just be aware that if you've got a specific sound design in your amp or your phono preamp, it can be a little tizzy, so just be careful. The next one is one we've had on long-term loan. In fact, two of them. One is the Shelter 901 Mark III moving coil, and the other is the Phasmation Japanese cartridge, like the Shelter, PP300 moving coil. And both wonderful. And we had a shootout and a review, and I really couldn't choose which one I liked better. They were both wonderful. The Shelter now runs about $2,500 and now is at the home of Charles Brown, one of our brilliant writers. And Charles is loving it. Very rich sounding, beautiful mid-range, very, very good, tracks very well. We compared it to the Phasmation PP300. Now I'm a huge Phasmation fan, and my reference cartridge is also Phasmation. We'll get to that later. But I couldn't tell which one I liked better. The Phasmation was a little leaner. The Shelter had that very rich mid-range. Both wonderful, both tracked well. The Phasmation PP300 moving coil is 0.28 millivolts boron cantilever line contact stylus, which I like. It's my favorite stylus profile, and it tracks at 2 grams, but it's now running at $3,000. That's a lot of money. Now we have one little surprise coming up. Jesus Gonzalez Montreal, one of our esteemed writers, lives in Mexico. The most wonderful person and a wonderful writer. And he had the Phasmation, as we said, we share the wealth at Audiophilia. He had it for quite a while and was loving it. But he had this for the use of this $3,000 cartridge for free. But he actually purchased a cartridge that he reviewed. We'll get to it. And it was actually less than the Phasmation PP300, but he loved it so much he actually purchased it. And we'll get to that cartridge in a minute. So it must be a very special cartridge, especially for audiophiles that give up free stuff to purchase their own. So let's move on to my preferred cartridge for my reference. This is the box for the Phasmation. Let's see if we get that. There we go. Phono pickup cartridge. And it's just the most wonderful cartridge. When I first reviewed it, it was still a very, very healthy $6,000. After I reviewed it, I was the only one that has reviewed it. I know there's been one or two since. They put the price up to $8,000. So maybe buy cartridges before Audiophilia and other people review them. But this cartridge is really a very special cartridge. So it's the Phasmation PP2000 moving coil phono pickup cartridge. It's with an output of 0.3 millivolts, has my favorite line contact stylus profile, boron cantilever, and tracks between 1.7 and 2 grams. And like I said, it's $8,000 US. Very expensive. This is an end of line, end of journey phono cartridge reference. I've had a chance to play with a lot of different cartridges, and not much has beaten this one. Even cartridges $1,000 to $3,000 more. It's layered, it's sweet, it's delicate, it has insane dynamics, great bass, is very well balanced, and gives me that reality that I'm looking for from the very best vinyl pressings. It digs deep into the grooves and gets everything out. It's just absolutely wonderful. It's a perfect reference cartridge for a busy reviewer. I can recommend it very highly. However, it's $8,000. So maybe if you win the lottery or you save up your pennies, and audio, high-end audio is very important in your life, and vinyl especially, it's something worth saving for. Maybe get the smaller Audi or the smaller BMW and grab a Phasmation PP2000. Very highly recommended. And I have my backup reference cartridge. This is the Olnick Amber phono cartridge. Let me show it to you. It comes in this beautiful metal container. Now, this one didn't come with a stylus guard, which is pretty ridiculous. Olnick Audio is Kangsu Park's company in Korea, and I've reviewed a lot of their tube gear. They're just a wonderful manufacturer. And this is his first cartridge for many years. And it is magnificent, no doubt about it. But to ship without a stylus guard was kind of nerve-wracking. And you see this gorgeous, well, it's amber, but like a gold nugget. Let's see if we can get really tight into that. This has many of the qualities as the Phasmation PP2000, but about $2,500 cheaper, which is good. It's a little beefier. It's not quite as detailed, not quite as delicate, but still, you could consider it apples and oranges. I mean, it's a very fine cartridge and very highly recommended. And this is the box for the Pure Fidelity Stratos cartridge. Here are the stats, and I'll put a picture up on the screen so you can see it. It's a very fine cartridge. The Pure Fidelity Stratos moving coil, it has an output of 0.45 millivolts, has an aluminum cantilever, an elliptical stylus profile, tracks about 2 grams, and is $19.95. It started off as $16.95. Yes, we reviewed it, and then the price went up. But I will tell you, after I reviewed it, I thought the price, it was underpriced. It was so good. This would be my choice for an under $2,000 cartridge. If that's in your budget, I would definitely have a look at the Pure Fidelity Stratos. It looks beautiful. It's made out of duralumin, that aluminum alloy that makes up a lot of cartridges, including my Phasmation cartridge. It's just wonderful. So very highly recommended. The Stratos gives you a lot of what high-end cartridges give you, but at a slightly easier price, $1,995. And now two cartridges that are being used by Carl Sigman, managing editor. The first one is also by Alnic Audio. This is their lower price model, the Rose, a moving coil 0.4 millivolt aluminum cantilever with a Geiger 2 stylus profile. The Amber has a Geiger S stylus profile. It tracks at 2 grams and retails for $2,900. And this would be my choice for a sub $3,000 cartridge. Absolutely wonderful. It gives you a lot of what the Amber does. Again, what you're getting when you're getting these super fine styluses and these specially made engines and the coil windings from moving coil, you're getting that little bit more subtlety, better dynamics, etc. But again, you have to pay for that, unfortunately, in this business. So, but you'll get about 80% of what the Amber gives you and the Rose, and that's for $2,900. His other cartridge is very interesting. It's the Grado Aeon 3 moving iron cartridge, completely different than moving coil and moving magnet. It has a slightly higher output, 1.0 millivolts, sapphire cantilever, tracks between 1.5 and 1.9 grams. Also very expensive. This is one of the top Grado handmade wood-bodied cartridges. It's $6,000. But anybody knows who Joe Grado is down in Brooklyn. He handmakes these cartridges at his bench, and they're just absolutely wonderful. And Carl loves it. The little surprise I was going to tell you about was with Jesus Gonzalez Montreal, a Mexican writer. And he was really enjoying the freebie, the Phasmation PP300. But he had in for review the Hana Umami Blue. Hana is the darling of the internet. Everybody loves Hana. Anyway, this is one of their top ones. And it retails for $2,500. It's 0.4 millivolts, pour-on cantilever, microline stylus profile, tracks at 2 grams. But even at $2,500, I think, he got a generous accommodation price. But still, he had a free cartridge to use, and he still preferred the slightly cheaper Hana Umami Blue. That's how good that cartridge is. I've never heard it, but from all accounts, and from Jesus' account, it's absolutely wonderful. He absolutely loves it. This is the AT33 Mono Anniversary by Audio-Technica. It's the box. This is a mono cartridge, and it's Ian Kershaw's reference mono. And let me tell you a little bit about it. It's the Audio-Technica AT33 Mono MC cartridge. 0.35 millivolts. It has a duralumin cantilever, conical stylus profile because of mono, and tracks between 2.3 and 2.7 grams, and retails for $299. And from what I'm hearing from Ian, this is an absolute steal. Many of you who are getting into the business of high-end cartridges, and if you're not a fan of Audiphon, Audio-Technica make loads of entry-level cartridges, and they get very good reviews. They're very beefy, they give good dynamic sound, and they're a good beginning for your vinyl journey. But definitely, if you're into mono, and you should be, because there's a lot of great mono records to be had, this is a very fine mono cartridge, and for $299, you can't go wrong. That's the Audio-Technica AT33 Mono moving coil. This one is a completely different animal. This is my mono reference, Miyajima Laboratory. This is the Infinity. I'll show you the box. box it comes in. This is an absolutely wonderful cartridge, handmade by Miyajima-san in Japan. The Miyajima Labs Infinity Monaural Phono Cartridge. It's a moving coil, 0.4 millivolts aluminum cantilever with a conical stylus and tracks at 3.5 grams. This one is much more expensive than the Audio-Technica. This is $33.75 US. Handmade, as I said, by Miyajima-san in Japan in their labs. And it's a magnificent mono cartridge. I doubt there's a better one in the world. I'm very lucky to use it. And I love my mono setup. I have a specialized mono setup with a Technics turntable. It comes highly recommended. If you want to get into mono in a big way, which I did because I have a lot of mono records, you cannot do better than the Miyajima Labs Infinity. It's absolutely magnificent. And finally, for you folks who want to get into mono but don't want to spend quite as much money, you can use the Audio-Technica, but is the Autophon 2M Mono. It's a moving magnet, 4 millivolt aluminum cantilever, spherical stylus, tracks between 1.6 grams and 2 grams, and is $425. And Jesus Gonzalez Monreal, a writer in Mexico, swears by it. Really, really enjoys it. So there you go. That's 15 or 16 cartridges for you to think about from all prices. I know when you want to get to the top ones, they get to be very, very expensive. But you can start small. I started with some very inexpensive Rega cartridges and just built up from there. But it was one of my prime directives to kind of keep getting better cartridges because I could hear each time the sound getting better. And I also have this axiom at Audiophilia is max out your arm. So no matter what arm you have, don't be scared to put on a really, really good cartridge. And your cartridge will only sound as good as your phono preamp. I hate to tell you that. There are some good inexpensive ones. That's for another video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.